Community exists all around us. We are in this amazing pop-up community this morning, and we can choose to be more or less connected to it. We can choose to say hi to the person next to us or spend the morning looking at our Instagram. But the more that we connect with people, the stronger the community gets and the stronger that we get. Finding our community can also mean finding ourselves and finding out who we truly are and where we belong. And for a lot of us, this is not an easy journey, including myself. Paradoxically, community can also mean finding connection with people who are not like us. But when we find our people and we have a strong community with us, we're better able to reach out to those outside our circle and build connections with them. For me, food has always been a way to connect and find community ever since I was a teenager, which for many of us is when we start thinking about our own place in the world. So this is me when I was 14. I was an angry kid. I think I wore those pants every single day of high school. I was, a little bit of a gutter punk, if you will. I never washed my hair. I did get in trouble for wearing this River City Brewing Company t-shirt to high school because alcohol. Such a rebel, right? But I was really into punk music. Are there any current or former punks here in the room, right? Punk taught me pretty much everything I know. I loved punk music, and I loved the sort of anarchist DIY punk spirit that came along with it. As a teenager, when you're kind of in everyone else's world all the time, punk was a way to have our own weird world that our parents just didn't know what to do with, that even our friends at school were like, why are they so dirty? Why is this music so loud? What's happening? And in Boston in the 90s, and I assume this is true in other places, being a punk and being a vegan went together because animal liberation, human liberation, right? People are oppressed, animals are oppressed. Why are we keeping them in cages? Why are we taking their milk and their eggs and killing them, right? We want to liberate everybody. But I barely knew how to make a sandwich, let alone make vegan food. And my mom totally gave up and said, look, you're on your own with this. Good luck. So when my friends and I weren't at all ages shows, getting high on no-dos, or whatever we were doing back in the day, right? You guys remember no-dos? We were trying salad. And I don't know, what kid eats salad? And learning about cool vegan recipes. So our favorite vegan recipe was the fried tofu sandwich, which is tofu that you fry and put on bread. You can't have butter, you can't have mayonnaise, you can't have anything, right? But you can have cumin, which was a huge innovation among my friends. You put the cumin on the tofu, and you fry it, and you have a sandwich. And it's great. I mean, it's disgusting, but it's great. And, punk rock is all about giving power back to people, right? Anarchy is all about people coming together, doing things for each other, doing things for ourselves. And my mom used to say, oh, well, in an anarchist society, who would take care of the sewers? Which really stumped me for a long time. Until I met the people in San Francisco who take care of our sewers, they love their jobs. Probably more than most people you'll ever meet. They are so proud of their work in the sewers. So anarchy can work. Thanks, Mom. And in that sort of DIY spirit, what you're doing isn't necessarily that great, right? You're making a cassette tape in the garage. It sounds terrible. You don't even know how to play the guitar. You just bought it, right? And that tofu sandwich, if I made it today, I would think it was absolutely disgusting. But it's awesome because you made it yourself. You did it yourself. So as I grew up, and for better or worse, left my punk days behind me, I kept making food with and for the people I love. In my family, I became known for making pies. This is me home from college, making pie and enjoying it with my uncle, whose favorite food is whipped cream. We're having a great time. Julia Child's birthday was this week, so I thought I would bring you a good Julia Child lesson. Julia once said, "A party without cake is just a meeting." I'm not a cake person. I make pies. This is just a regular Sunday night get-together in my family. Building community is not something that we need to save for special occasions, and neither is pie. In my 20s, I spent 4 years in France. I taught yoga, I guided bicycle tours, I did all kinds of under-the-table things to hang out in France. And while France is known for its incredibly delicious food, I couldn't afford any of it. So I did find my people. This is me and my friends in the garden of the yoga studio where I worked. In 2004, when I moved to France, yoga was not very popular. There are only about 4 yoga studios in Paris. The 2 things that the French are very skeptical of are religious cults and exercise, which of course are combined in yoga, right? So the people who came to this yoga studio were a little odd, and of course we all became really close friends. Once you find your people, they're yours for life, right? All these people, we live all over the world, in Guinea, in Washington, D.C., in Paris, and if we get together today, it would look exactly like this, and we would all feel the same way. So after yoga class on Sundays, we would walk down to the farmer's market down the street, and there was a cheese vendor there who had a little table at the end where the little odds and ends of cheese that were kind of melty and stinky and no one would really want were all there for €1 each. And we would load up on all this stinky cheese and baguettes, go back to the yoga studio and hang out, and just eat bread and cheese and sit in the garden. And every time I would consider moving back to America, I would just think about that cheese and just feel like I'm not ready yet. And it took me 4 years to get ready. And even now I still think about that cheese. You know how expensive cheese is here? Right? And it's not even as good. I moved to California because to an East Coaster, it seemed like a land of endless possibility. And for the most part, I found that to be true, especially coming from France. In France, you choose your profession at 18, and that's what you do. If you work in customer service, you have a master's degree in it. If you're a graphic designer, that's what you went to school for. In America, you can do anything you want. You can get a PhD in history and then open a restaurant and everyone thinks it's awesome. Nobody cares. And I love that spirit. And especially here in California, I love how willing people are to say yes to crazy ideas, to support each other and making their crazy dreams come true. There's a lot of DIY punk rock spirit alive in Silicon Valley. It just has a lot more money behind it. But if you think about it, move fast and break things is just like a Dead Kennedys show, right? It's not that different. So this is 18 Reasons, the nonprofit that I helped to start. We teach people how to be better home cooks, how to be curious and confident in the kitchen, and how to connect with people through food. Every month, we open our doors for 2 back-to-back 1-hour, 40-person community dinners. We pack our little classroom and we make sure that everyone has to share a table with people they don't know because we only have so many seats and you've got to make new friends. The menu is different every month, but it's always $15 and it's always a full house. This month we're partnering with the Refugee Food Festival and serving Iraqi kebabs from an immigrant chef. It's next Wednesday and there are some tickets for the first seating if you want to come and hang out with me. Community dinner is one of my favorite things that we do at 18 Reasons and combines my favorite things, food, community, and a little bit of anarchy. It's kind of crazy. These are my wonderful colleagues at 18 Reasons, 3 of whom are here in the front row because we're all about supporting each other and building community. The people I work with are the reason I do what I do. You can have the coolest job in the world, but if you don't love the people you work with, it's not that great, right? What we do every day is in some ways less important than who we do it with. So thank you guys for being so awesome. At 18 Reasons, we all share these 2 passions for food and community, and we're lucky to have created an organization together that unites those ideas. A few years ago, a cookbook author came to one of our community dinners and was really inspired and approached us about creating a cookbook together about cooking for your community. We helped recipe test, fundraise, and get the book published. It's called Feed Your People, and it just came out in June. It's all about cooking for your people with big batch recipes like chili verde and porchetta, and cooking with your people, making things like dumplings and tamales that take a lot of hands to make them come together. This is from a photo shoot for the book, which is why we look especially glamorous, but we really do have that much fun whenever we get together to cook and eat together. But what happens in our 18th Street classroom in the Mission is really just the tip of the iceberg. We partner with over 100 other nonprofits in the Bay Area to bring our free 6-week-long cooking classes to 3,000 low-income families every year. In the DIY spirit, we bring butane burners, pots, pans, knives, cutting boards into clinics, schools, community centers, teaching our classes in waiting rooms, classrooms, and school gardens. We'll really set up anywhere. And if the authorities in charge don't know about it, even better. We're just there cooking and making food together. But learning to cook is not the only goal of our program. Cooking serves the larger purpose of giving people power and control over one aspect of their life, what they eat. Cooking connects us with our family and friends in a really fundamental way. For a family struggling to make ends meet, finding the time, energy, and money to cook a healthy meal can feel overwhelming. In our classes, we build confidence and help people come together to support each other. Like if I'm having trouble getting my kid to eat vegetables or finding time to exercise, and the mom sitting next to me says, oh, here's what we do in my family, all of a sudden I feel like, oh, I can do that. Right? Everyone in our classes is there to support each other and see people like them in their situation, able to overcome these barriers and gain the confidence in themselves that they can do it too. At the end of every class, we sit down and enjoy the pleasure of sharing a simple meal together. And that time that we spend eating together is just as important as the basic knife skills lesson that happens at the beginning of the class. Food has been my way of connecting to community. I've always been a bit of an outsider, looking for answers beyond the corporate infrastructure whose shadow we all live in. And something tells me that a lot of you probably feel that same way. While food is not the only way of connecting with community, I encourage you to give it a try. It can be as easy and joyful as a kale salad made by some kids, or our famous black bean and veggie quesadillas that we make in almost every series we do. Gaining confidence in our abilities, whether it's in cooking or anything else, helps us to connect more deeply with the people around us and helps us gather the courage to ask for and receive support that we need. What we fear in connecting to others and deepening our community is a sense of obligation. What if I reach out and ask for what I need from you? Does that mean I have to give you what you need when you ask me? Yes, yes it does. Of course it does. And I encourage you to embrace that obligation because the alternative is not just loneliness, but powerlessness, right? We have more power when we are together. So I wanted to bring a little DIY punk spirit into your lives with a few homework suggestions. As an anarchist, I won't call them assignments, but suggestions. Number one, make some food and bring it to someone in your building or on your block. Maybe even someone you don't know. Call someone for advice about a big problem or just their favorite chocolate chip cookie recipe. Call them up. And number three, instead of paying a stranger, ask a friend for a ride or offer someone a ride. Bonus points if it's at a really inconvenient place or time. And from all of us at 18 Reasons, keep that anarchist DIY spirit alive, being truly yourself and reaching out to connect with people as yourself gives us all strength, compassion, and builds our creativity. Thank you so much.